day 6 of VBS. I hope you all had a great weekend and you are pumped for today's lesson. So let's get right into our story session with Pastor Jerry.
Lions and lionesses, hey, we're back! A new week, and you had a good weekend? Was it fun? Did you get some rest? Welcome to VBS week 2, and we are now on day 6. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you sticking with us. I'm so glad. Fist bump time. Fist bump. Everybody. Yeah! It's good to be with me, Pastor Jerry, and I love you, and I love telling you stories. The God we worship and His faithfulness. Are you ready for the lesson? Day 6. Today, in this lesson, you will learn about Moses and the 10 commandments. Are you ready? Big ears, big heart, big eyes. Let's tune in. In the last lesson, I talked about Moses. I introduced you to Moses, and God introduced Himself to Moses and said, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. And now I'm the God of Moses. And Moses, I'm telling you what to do. You're going to go and you're going to rescue my people out of the hands of this horrible Pharaoh. And you are going to deliver them and take them to a beautiful land which I have prepared for them. This entire story is in the book of the Bible called Exodus. You know, like exit? Exodus. Say Exodus. Excellent. Exodus. Now, God raised up Moses to deliver His people. And in reality, God is the one who is at work. God is the one who is delivering His people. God wanted to take His people out of Pharaoh's hand, but Pharaoh didn't want to do that. Pharaoh didn't want to let them go. So God began to send plagues. 10 plagues, one after the other. God turned the river into blood. God sent frogs and pestilences. God sent locusts. God sent hail, one after the other. He kept sending all sorts of plagues. And finally, Pharaoh said, go! Just go! Just go. And Moses and all the people said, this is it. We can't believe it. He's let us go. And they picked up all of them, hundreds and thousands of them, and they began to leave. They packed their suitcases and they packed all their bags and they began to leave. And this was called the Exodus. They left Egypt. All the dreams smashed. All the plans gone. Now this was not their land anymore. And once again, they are on the road waiting for God to fulfill His plan. But God never gives up, and God always has a plan, and God led them. As they wandered in the wilderness, the desert, and hundreds and thousands of them together, moving in a direction, the leader for their entire group was a cloud by day and a cloud of fire by night. That's how God led them. So throughout the day as they moved, there was this big cloud that moved ahead of them, and they followed that cloud. And through the night, there was a cloud of fire, magnificent, beautiful. And as He led them, they followed. When it came to a standstill, then they would all camp, and Moses said, okay, everybody stop, camp. And they would set up their tents, and they would sleep, and they would relax, and they would take it easy. Now, as they were moving, and God was leading them, they came up to the edge of the Red Sea. They came to the edge of the Red Sea, and now there was no land around them to go forward. It was just sea. And can you imagine hundreds and thousands, men and women and children and cattle, all just stranded. And the worst thing they could ever imagine as they looked back was they saw 600 chariots of Pharaoh. Because during this time, Pharaoh was like, oh my gosh, what have we done? We shouldn't have let them go. Hey guys, everybody get together. Go back and get them back. Hey guys, get it together, send the chariots and bring the nation of Israel back. They are going to be our slaves again. And they had started chasing after them. So these people look forward and they see a Red Sea in front of them, massive sea in front of them. How are they going to cross? They look back and they see a cloud of dust in the air as 600 chariots are coming towards them to captivate them and take them back. What are they going to do? Again, they have to look to God for a story of redemption. And Moses said, you know what? God is going to save us. Stand still and see the salvation of our God. Moses was beginning to trust God more with bigger things. And God said to Moses, tell the people to move into the water. And as they take a step of faith, you, Moses, lift up your rod, stretch out your hand over the sea, and the sea will be divided. And my people are going to walk on dry land. What? Walk on dry land through a sea? I mean, you can't even do that in rain. How do you walk on dry land through a sea? But is anything impossible with God? Not for his people. When God decides to do it, he'll even part a sea for you. They believed God. Moses raised his rod up, and God sent a wind to divide the waters. And overnight, the waters kept dividing and dividing and dividing, and they stood up like big walls on both sides, and the people of Israel walked on dry land. And they were going through the sea, the Red Sea, and they were walking and walking and moving and running, and everyone was trying to get through. And they looked back, and those chariots were still following them. They looked back. They said, come on, come on, come on. But they had enough time. They had enough time, and all of them got through the Red Sea, got to the other side, and when the soldiers came and when the chariots came, God brought the waters back together and destroyed all those chariots. And that day, God saved them yet again and proved to each and every one of them that he is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and now the God of Moses, and definitely the God of Israel. Definitely the God of the people of Israel. God stopped the enemy from pursuing them and saved them. So, Israel took a long time to travel through the desert. And they had all sorts of situations where God had to save them. God had to listen to their grumbling. But one day they came to Mount Sinai. Say Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai. This was going to be an important place in the history of the nation of Israel. Let me take you back. In the Garden of Eden, when Eve took the fruit and Adam also ate, they disobeyed God. And in that disobedience, they were separated from God. And a curse was placed upon them. And the serpent was promised that one day a son will come from Eve who will crush his head and remove the curse. So for that son to come, there needs to be a family. And for that family to be, that family must stand out. Are you listening to me? That family must be special. That family must be different. That family must not be like anybody else. Because through that family, that son is going to come. That son will rise who will crush the serpent's head and take away the curse of sin and the curse that was on them. So God wanted a people who were special and different. So God gave them a bunch of rules. A bunch of rules. So he called Moses. Moses, come here, man. Come here. Come up the mountain. I got some stuff for you. You got your yellow pad? We're going to write stuff down. Get 2 tablets. We're going to write 10 commandments. 10 commandments that are going to be the way I am going to bless my people. The more they obey, the more I'll bless them. The more they obey, the more I'll bless them. And everybody around will say, hey, their God loves them. Their God blesses them. We need to turn to their God. Their God is the real God. These are the people of the true and living God. So the more they were blessed, the more they would stand out as God's people. So God gave commandments. He always gives a commandment when he wants to bless. It's never a judgment. It's never a constriction and saying, you will only do this, you won't do this, don't do this, only do this. That was not the 10 commandments. It was a way to bless the people of Israel, because the more special they were and the more separate they were, through them would come the Son who would take away the curse. Moses, get 2 tablets. Why? Because whenever we have a covenant, whenever we have a commitment to each other, both parties will always have 1 copy of the commitment. You know, when your mom and dad get a lease deed for a house, each gets a copy. Whenever you have a promise with anybody, we call it a deed or we call it a covenant, both get a copy. So there were 2 two tablets, and on both tablets were written the 10 commandments, because that was the blessing covenant. You do this, I will bless you. You do this more, I will bless you. You see how much God loves you? You see how much God wanted them to be separate and be his people? He wanted the world to know. He wanted all the nations to know, these are my kids. These are my people. See how much I bless them. These are my children. And that's how God shows off his blessing over his people. So Moses, come on, let's write some commandments. And Moses went up the Mount Sinai, and he took 2 tablets with him, and God began to tell the 10 commandments. Right now, are you ready? The 10 commandments. Commandment number 1, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. I'm your God. You see, many of the other nations, they would have all sorts of different gods, and they would have idols, and they would have all sorts of ceremonies. But God wanted his people to look at him alone. Commandment number 2, you shall not worship any image. Because God wanted them to bow before the true and living God. Everybody else bowed before idols. How will he know that they are different? By not bowing before idols, by bowing before the true and living God. Commandment number 3, you shall not misuse my name. Don't take my name in vain. Don't use it in movies. Don't use it anywhere else just for no reason. If you're going to call my name, I'm going to answer. So when you call my name, make it a prayer. When you call my name, make it a prayer. Don't take my name in vain. Number 4, you shall keep the Sabbath. That means you're going to live in such a way where 6 days you're going to work and 1 day you're going to rest. 6 days you're going to work and 1 day you're going to rest. And I'm going to prove to everybody that my people are healthy. My people are disciplined, and I'm going to bless your physical work because you physically rest on the 7th day. 5, you shall honor your parents. Everybody grows old, and when they grow old, children should look after their older parents, because the parents looked after the children when they were young. And a time will come when the children need to look after the parents. And I want my people to be well looked after. I don't want anybody in my family, in my people, to be left abandoned. So you will honor your parents. Number 6, you shall not murder. Taking life is very bad. You shall not take anybody's life. Number 7, you shall not commit adultery. So if you're going to get married, you stay in your marriage and don't look anywhere else, because God is bringing a son into the world. And God doesn't want any marriage to be contaminated. Number 8, you shall not steal. Why? Because I'm going to provide for you. I'll give you anything you need. You need something? Ask me. Not an iPhone, but if you need something, ask me, I'll give you, but don't take from somebody else. It's not yours. Number 9, you shall not give false testimony. Don't you go there talking about anybody else and what they did or didn't do. It's none of your business. You will not bear false testimony about anybody else. Don't say he did it, she did it. None of your business. Tell the truth. Always tell the truth. And finally, you shall not covet. What does that mean? If somebody else has something that's a blessing, I will bless you more. Come to me. Don't look at other people's blessings. Come to the God who can bless your socks off. Come to the God who has promised you blessing, and I will bless you. Let's do the whole thing over again. Shall we do that? From the top. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Are you reading with me? Come on. Out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. Number 2, you shall not worship any image. Number 3, you shall not misuse God's name. Number 4, you shall keep the Sabbath. Number 5, you shall honor your parents. Number 6, you shall not murder. Come on, I can't hear you. Number 7, you shall not commit adultery. Number 8, you shall not steal. Number 9, you shall not bear false witness. Number 10, you shall not covet. 10 commandments. And why did God give commandments? So that when they obey, he can bless them and make the difference between them and every other nation. I'm going to stop here. You may have heard the story, or you may not have. But we're going to listen to every story together, story after story, generation after generation, family after family, son after son, until we get to the son that will rise to crush the serpent, take away the curse, and bless his people. All who come to God must believe in that son. Who is that son? Who is that son? Keep listening and watching. We will find out from the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and even Moses. I love you guys. See you tomorrow, day 7. Bye-bye.
I hope you guys learned a lot today. It's now time for you to go and join your friends and your group captain on your Zoom meetings. See you tomorrow.